Hi everybody, welcome to my latest video. I hope everybody's doing well today, really. We're in trying times right now. Well, this video is going to be a little bit different, I think. Some of you may realize by looking at some of my other videos that I like to find things on sale. And I tend to buy things that I may not even need if there's a good price on it and I can wait to receive it, which is usually the case because I'll go with the low-end shipping if I'm buying it from somebody other than Amazon, which a lot of my real good sales actually happen with. So anyway, with the current conditions that we're all living under, when I get packages, they sort of go through a routine. They enter the beginning of my garage, they sit there for a day, then they move to the middle of the garage, and then they sit there for a while, and then they finally go right up to next to the door. And only when they've progressed along that path, which usually takes a couple of days minimum, then I take the opportunity of opening it up. Well, it just so happens I got a little backlogged with a couple of packages, got busy with other things, and I wound up with 3 different packages, all about the same size. I tried to look through some of the history of my purchases, and actually since I removed the labels too, as soon as they come in for multiple reasons, including making sure that they don't wind up on camera again like once happened to me, then I really can't tell what the package is. Now I can guess based upon its size normally, but I got 3 of these. Same size box, no labels. There's actually one still in the garage. It hasn't made its way all the way through yet. I was about to open this up and I said, it might be interesting to go ahead and open this up in front of everybody. Now it's probably one of 2 things, and we'll see which one of those 2 things it is. In either case, it probably weighs about the same. And I'll explain it as I open this one up what the other one was. Anyway, if you get something out of this video that you like, find helpful in any way, do me a favor, subscribe to my channel, or at least consider doing that. Here's the box. As you can see, I have the label here removed. I even removed the label from the bottom. Anything that could identify my address on it when I put these things in the background of my videos. I once had a video and I had to fortunately catch it before it went public and remove a label that showed my actual address. Now, chances are you guys could figure out where I lived anyway, but why, make it easier? So, what I'll do is I'll open this up. Again, it's probably one of 2 things. It's either the 2 6-volt batteries that I ordered for a lantern, and they're pretty heavy. They're probably about half of this box. Or they're a power supply, as best I can figure. I even forgot what the power supply was. I was looking through my history, and I guess I didn't go back far enough. Both of them actually took several weeks to come because they probably weren't a slow boat from you-know-where. Anyway, let me open it up. And there it is. It is the power supply. So this is a Raid Max, which is sort of a low-end type power supply. As you can see, it's a 735 watt, which is an oddball number, but it looks like it's a fully modular power supply. That really made me interesting. I'll go ahead and find a receipt for this now as I'm editing this video, so you can see what this actually cost me. You'll be a little bit surprised by it. But again, I always go for the bargains, even if I have to wait a long time for them to come in, because most of the time, there are parts that I don't need. This will just go into my stock of power supplies for future bills. So let me open this up and take a closer look at it. It does have full RGB. I don't know if it's programmable or not, as I recall. I have to look that up. Now I remember, you guys are not going to like the cables. The cables are only partially black. They're ketchup and mustard cables at the ends. But there should be a whole set of cables in here. And of course the power cord. And it's not fully modular. It's only semi-modular. That's somewhat disappointing. Well, it's not that bad, but I was hoping I could actually replace these in the future. So it's not fully modular. That was mislabeling or misunderstanding on my part. But everything else, semi-modular, is fairly good, at least for the price I got for this. Let me open this guy up. Here are the screws. I'll probably put a close-up of this onto the screen so you can see it. Let's open this guy up. Let's see what we got. Let's see, at least does it have full RGB? I just see an RGB cable there. Let me see what it looks like. To the side here. Is it a full RGB? It looks like it is. It says keep cap on, as you can see there. But I'm going to take it off. It looks like it's a standard 4-pin RGB. Pull this sticker off. Yep, 12 volts, green, red, blue. So we're good. This should be programmable, fully programmable RGB. You know what I'm going to do? Let me take a break in a moment. I'm going to get some things to test this with. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it works. If it took too, I hope I can return it if it doesn't. It took so long to get here. I hope I can somehow, oh, nice colorful side. That's good and bad. You know, it'll probably show through. A lot of people pull these labels off. I usually don't. It is 80 plus rated, so that's good. That was a big plus, I thought. So the only negative at this point that I see is that it has these ketchup and mustard type cables, and unfortunately, I was hoping that it was fully modular. I guess that was too much to really believe anyway. And other than that, it looks good. So let me go and get the testing tools, and I'll come right back. Okay, here we go. I have the things that I want to test it with. This little manual RGB controller came with my Cooler Master 240 millimeter all-in-one cooler that was used on my daughter's computer. Now we wound up hooking that one up to the motherboard to get its colors. So I didn't need this, but I saved it. You always save these types of things. Also dug out one of my spare little male-to-male adapters for that. And this is the connector that very high-end power supplies I mentioned before come with. And it allows you to turn the power supply on. You plug the cable in, and it will connect over the two wires, 16 and 18. You could go ahead and jump those two wires here and accomplish the same thing. So to be those two pins, you could actually put a jumper in there if you want to do that. It's easier just to pay the $350 that I purchased this for from Amazon a while ago, and I showed it in a couple of previous videos, than to go through that trouble. Or, even better, you get the power supply tester, which is probably the way I'm going to do it here. And that will do the same thing. As soon as you plug the power supply into this, it will come on and it will also test it for you. To do it thoroughly, you got to put in not just the 24 plus 4 or the 20 plus 4 for 24, the motherboard cable, but you've also got to put one of the 12 volt connectors. In addition, I'm going to put one that has, hopefully I have one that has Molex on it. I should have one of those. Yeah, here we go. So this cable here that has Molex on it, I'm going to put this in so I can drive power to the controller for the RGB. So let me wire it up real quick and you'll see what I mean. That's got the two arrows. Remember how that goes? The two arrows go together to join it up for a 24 pin. They do that because there's still motherboards out there that only use 20. Matter of fact, my very old one only uses a 4. And we got to make sure that the connector matches that for the where it locks in place. And we'll plug that in, like so. Now, that should be enough to drive it. Whoops, this guy popped out. I thought it snapped, but I guess it was just a little piece. There we go. Now that's locked. That's snapped in. I actually can see it on the side here. You can actually see it on the side there if you look at it very carefully. But now I need to do this one too because I want to drive the RGB. So let me plug this one into the power supply. And it would be under, well, it's only 6. It goes into the regular one that says peripheral or SATA. So I'll plug it into any of those connectors, it'll be fine. So now I can actually take this and I'll leave it wrapped up. And I'll just plug the Molex connector into the appropriate gender. So that's a female, it's got to go into the male. The connector comes with both possibilities, or it could be in between an existing Molex device. Hopefully you don't have too many of those out there. So that's plugged in, and now it's got this little connector here, this little cable here, and that's what goes into this manual RGB controller. It should only go one way, not that way. It's got a key on the side, it looks like. There we go. So it locks in place here, as you can see, onto the connector. So now I should be able to control the RGB from these 3 little buttons. And that'll be the RGB for the fan. So let me have it so you can see the fan as I plug it in. As I said previously, make sure it's in the off position. This was already on. I guess they left it on when they tested it. So I'll turn that off. That'll be my on switch, really. Power in. So now if this works, the fan RGB should come on. I should be able to control it here. It looks like the fan will probably just start turning. And then the tester should show us what's going on. So let's see when I power it on what happens. You know what, this may not be the right one. No, that should work. It should just give me an error if it doesn't work. Let me plug it in this other way first. Let me take the tester off and plug it into this and see what we get. Oh, now it came on. Now it came on. Why didn't the tester come on? Maybe I didn't have it connected deep enough, but this is on. Now it means, before I do that, let me see if the RGB for the fan works. I got the little controller here. Oh, I forgot to connect up the other end of this. Looks like it has two connectors, so you can go, probably one's male, one's female. So since I've already got the male connector on here, let me just make sure it lines up. Make sure that the 12 volt lines up. Again, there's a little arrow here and a little arrow there, so let me line them up. Right. So now I should have the 12 volts going into the fan. Let me turn it on again. Oh, there we go. Turn off this light and see what we got. Yeah, so I should be able to play with it here and change colors. Oh, see, I changed the cycle. So now it's blinking. That's what this button here is. Now I got it in heartbeat mode, but shifting colors. So I can do heartbeat mode. Oh, it's a speed on that one. That's solid red, blinking green. So it is working. I should probably look up the buttons on this to find out what the pattern is, but so it has full RGB. Why doesn't the power supply tester work? See what we got here. Let me disconnect this again. Put this in here. Did I not have it all the way in, maybe? Possible. Should a little bit further this time. I'll try this. Now that did it. Now it's beeping because I don't have the 12 volts connected to it. I disconnected that in troubleshooting it. So let me reconnect the 12 volts. And now we have the 12 volts. So as I've shown before, we have the different voltages being shown, different options. This power supply tester has indicated that we're good. I see all of the voltages and I see the right values close enough to them. So I think I showed everything in terms of this power. Turn it off. Okay, well that was interesting, wasn't it? Hopefully you guys thought that my low-end, well cost-wise anyway, low-end power supply that I purchased actually has something useful to it. And I showed you again some of the tests that I've shown you in the past, but I wanted to show a little bit more this time. And it's always a good idea to test your equipment, as I said during the video, because you never know what you wind up with, especially when you pick something that's a little bit off-brand like this one was. So hopefully you got something out of this video that you could use or at least enjoyed, and you could consider subscribing to my channel. It would really be helpful. Well, thanks for watching, and until the next time, take care.